Hey guys, you're watching BenzWerks with me, the mystery mechanic, and my camera guy here. We have this SL55 AMG and we're going to show you how to do an oil change. So let's see the parts and tools you're going to need. Okay, so the manufacturer recommends using Mobile One 5W40, so that's what we're going to be using today. And we're going to go over the tools that you need to do the job and also some of the part numbers for the parts that you need to purchase to do the job. We have the oil filter and all of our tools laid out, so let's get a closer look at what we got. So we got a torque wrench here that's adjustable, kind of a cheap one. You can get a better one, or if you don't have a torque wrench, you could just try to make it nice and tight. Just make sure that you check for leaks when you're done tightening the oil filter. This one here is like a Craftsman, just regular torque wrench. Okay, and we have an oil filter wrench here, but this is the one that Mercedes sells, and you could get one from an oil parts store. We have a wrench to tighten the oil filter housing. Also, we have a screw gun here, but that's just to make the job better and faster. You could use a regular ratchet like this one, and you're going to need a little screwdriver to pull off the O-rings. This is the box for the oil filter. We had trouble focusing on the number because basically my camera guy never tried to focus. So the number is 000-180-2609. The first thing you want to do is open up the hood of the car. If you didn't know that, you might want to think about taking your car to the dealership and having them do the oil change for you. To get more lighting and room to work, there's a little lever that you push in on the left side hood hinge, and that allows the hood to open all the way straight up so that you'll have a nice comfortable place to work. This is where the lever is located. You simply just push it on the lever with one finger and it'll allow the hood to go all the way up. Here is your 8-cylinder supercharged engine. What a beauty. Here you have your oil filter housing, your oil fill cap, and also your dipstick tube cover. There is no dipstick in this vehicle. Another use for the little screwdriver is to pull off the engine cover. It's not really necessary, but it makes it easier to fill up the engine with oil. You want to take the screwdriver and pry up gently on both sides of the engine cover, and then pull up lightly in the front. You'll see the clips. There's 2 clips in the front and 2 clips on each side which hold it down. Next, you're going to want to take off the oil fill cap. That'll help with the oil draining out through the drain plug. Also, you want to remove the dipstick tube cover, because this will also help so that the oil can freely drain. Next, take your oil filter wrench and remove the oil filter housing. This one needs a little light tap just to make sure it's seated properly. Keep unscrewing the oil filter until it's all the way unscrewed, and then just lift straight up on the oil filter and you'll see it come out of the engine. Have a rag ready, so this way you could lift it up and put the rag underneath, otherwise oil will drip all over the side of the engine, which isn't the end of the world. You just spray it down with some brake clean or some cleaner and it'll be fine. Now let's go underneath the car. A lot of you aren't going to have a lift out there, so you could just jack it up. We're using the lift just to show you the bottom of the car, the 4 bolts that you're going to need to take it off. These 4 8mm screws are kind of hard to see on the camera, but they're right in these locations here. And that'll take off that bottom plastic shield and allow you to access the drain plug. We're going to use a screw gun to take these screws off, but like I said earlier, you could use a regular 8mm ratchet with a little socket on the end. It's not really that hard. You take off the 4 screws and that'll allow you to pull down the plastic panel. Then you could access the drain plug underneath the plastic panel. Just make sure you put these panels back on, otherwise they could scrape on the ground. Once you have the screws out, just pull down gently on the plastic panel and it should come right out. You could see right underneath is the drain plug on the right side of the engine there. It's usually a 13mm. We have a wrench that we're going to use. Over here we see the copper crush seal. It's on the drain plug bolt. It keeps the oil in the oil pan. Some people don't like to change these every time. I prefer you change them every time though. So when you get the oil filter, don't forget to pick one of these up. Now that we let the oil drain, let's button everything back up and go back up top and change the filter. Now you're going to want to take the oil filter housing and slide the filter off of the end. You're going to want to use a rag on the bench because as you can see, the oil is dripping all over the bench. Now take your little screwdriver and take off all the O-rings on the oil filter housing. As you can see, you have 4 of them here. 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the housing. Just pop them off with your screwdriver and discard them. These O-rings are pretty easy to get off. If you haven't done your oil change in a while, they'll be dried out and hard and stuck onto the filter housing. Don't be scared. Just pull them off, throw them in the garbage, and put the new ones on. If you haven't changed your oil in a while, it's all the more reason to change these O-rings. These O-rings stop the oil from going around the filter and cause it to go through the filter instead, which is what you want in your engine. So if you haven't done your oil change in a while, it's pretty important that you change these. Let's take a look at what's in the box. The box comes with the oil filter and the O-rings. The O-rings are in a small bag. They give you extras just in case you rip one or for different models. Here is what it looks like. Like I said before, the O-rings are in a plastic bag. You're going to want to just rip open the plastic bag and dump the O-rings out onto your bench. And then start by putting on the largest O-ring first. That'll be the easiest way. Slide the O-ring down over the housing until it goes down into the groove. Make sure it goes over the threads and in the small groove, and make sure it's not stuck in one of the threads instead of the groove. You're going to just want to continue putting on the O-rings one at a time until you have them all on, making sure that they're all in their respective grooves. While I have you here, I'd like to ask you all to subscribe to our channel because we will be putting more tutorials on how to do different types of work on Mercedes-Benz vehicles. From anything from small stuff to big stuff. We're going to be doing brakes, services, and a lot of interior work. So stay tuned to our channel and please rate our videos. Thank you. Once you get the O-rings in place, what you're going to want to do is lubricate them. You'll have extra oil left over on your fingertips from doing the oil change. You want to lubricate them so that it'll go properly into the engine. Now we're going to take our oil filter, and you'll notice on the side there's 2 lines drawn on the side of the filter. This comes like that out of the box. This isn't something that we did. There's even a small paper in the box that explains those lines and how to install the filter. You're going to want to install it, slide it down, and it's going to be a little tough to get over the first notch, but once you get it down, the second time is you got to push hard and get it all the way in. The oil filter isn't in properly until the lines line up with the edge of the housing, which goes into the engine block, as you can see here. You're going to wipe off the oil filter housing and then put it into the engine block. It's okay to hand tighten it as much as possible until you put the wrench on. Get it down as far as possible with your hand. Tighten it down with the wrench until it gets snug. Don't over tighten it yet because we're going to get our torque wrench out and tighten it down all the way to 25 Newton meters. Take the torque wrench, set it to 25 Newton meters, and tighten down the filter until you hear it click. Then take a rag and gently wipe all the excess oil that you may have spilled on the engine. Now get yourself a funnel. It's obvious that this blue one isn't going to work, so maybe I'll try another one. Now that you have your high-performance racing funnel, add the oil to the engine. This engine takes approximately 8.5 to 9 quarts of oil, depending on how much you let drain out. You could check it if you had a factory dipstick, or you could go through your instrument cluster and check the oil level through there. Once you've finished adding your oil, put the oil cap back on and resecure the front engine cover. Press down lightly to snap it into place. And don't forget to put in that red dipstick tube cover, because a lot of people forget to add that. Okay, that's pretty much it. I want to thank you all for watching this tutorial, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, so this way you can stay tuned to our upcoming tutorials. See you later, YouTube.